Hey there, this is the Top Floor Please podcast, where women in leadership rise together. I'm your host, Melissa McCormick, executive coach and founder of the Grace and Salt Leadership Academy. This is your space to find clarity, grow in confidence, and lead with bold authenticity. Whether you're navigating the boardroom, building your team, or stepping into new territory, you're not alone. Let's talk real challenges, real growth, and real leadership, because the top floor isn't just a place, it's a mindset. All right, let's get started.
All right, welcome back to the podcast. If you've been following along, we have been diving into how to lead like a CEO before you get the title. So today we are focusing on something crucial for every leader, and that is confidence, specifically executive confidence. So, how do you walk into any room and command attention, respect, and authority? Even when you're still on your way to the top. So how do you're walking, you're entry level or mid management, whatever that is, and you happen to walk into a room, maybe it's a strategic planning meeting or a team meeting, leadership meeting, or you're at an event of some type, right? So how do you walk in and you gain that, you have that confidence in order to gain attention, respect, and authority? So I'm going to share with you some executive confidence formula so you can start owning any room right now. And as always, if you want more hands-on guidance, we've got a really powerful community at the Grace and Salt Leadership Academy where we help women like you lead with confidence and clarity every day. Okay, so before we begin, before we dive into that formula, let's get clear on what executive confidence really looks like. So it's not about being the loudest in the room. If you've been following along, you've heard me say that several times. Or it's not about pretending that you know everything. In fact, vulnerability is really critical. Humility, accountability, vulnerability, that's all really critical with executive presence and executive confidence. It is about showing up as your true, capable self and leading from a place of authenticity and authority. Okay. Even so, if you don't know, like if you're not the expert in the room, then it's okay to say, you know what, I'm not sure about that. Let me go check, or I'll contact somebody who knows. That is so much better than trying to make it up. And I mean, people can read right through that, and you do not want to have the reputation that you are that you're uncomfortable with not knowing the answer, that you want to be known as a lifelong learner. So if you don't know what cost standard hours are, which is from a previous podcast, then you should be comfortable, or even if it's uncomfortable, but you should have the courage to ask. So executive confidence is all about having the self-assurance to speak up. It's about the clarity to lead with purpose and the presence to make others believe in you. Here's the best part: confidence. It's a skill you can absolutely develop, right? So when I walked into Taylor Company in 1987, I was not the expert in shipping. In fact, I did not grow up as a child thinking, oh, I want to get into international shipping. I had no idea. Now, I had traveled all over the world, but I never, or not at the time, I had traveled to Ecuador and to Spain. I had never even thought about how shipping works, right? But I ended up in international shipping. It became my life. It still is like near and dear to my heart. But I was able to develop that executive presence, that leadership, all of that, all my experiences kind of got molded into my leadership style as it is today. So it is all about that skill in that we can develop, especially when you have the right tools and support. And again, this is something that we focus on deeply at the Grace and Salt Leadership Academy. Okay, so let's break down executive confidence formula. There are 3 key steps you can start applying today to own any room. Are you ready? Okay, so the first one is I want you to prepare with purpose. If you know me or follow me at all, you know that preparation is critical. So I want you to prepare with purpose. Like, what is your goal in mind? Great leaders, they just don't show up. They show up with intention. Like, what is their goal in this room? Before any important meeting or conversation, take a few minutes to get clear on your goals. What do you want to achieve? What impact do you want to make? When you approach the room with a clear purpose, your confidence will naturally follow. And it also kind of puts the nerves to the side, because you know, okay, I'm going to this dinner tonight. Let's just say you got invited to a dinner, going to a dinner tonight. Now, you don't want to be unnatural or manipulative, where you're looking for, hey, I want to corner the CEO because I want to impress him with how amazing I am. It's not about that. It's about, I'm going to go to this dinner and I am going to talk to the CEO. I'm going to find him or her, and then I'm just going to have a conversation. Well, what is that conversation about? What is it that you want to talk to them about? Now, it may be natural or it may be unnatural. And if it's something that is unnatural, you may want to say, hey, there's been something that I've been wanting to tell you, or been wanting to talk to you about. Is now a good time? Or should I make an appointment with you? Right? I'd love it to be now, but it might not be appropriate. And it might not make sense because the CEO, you want them to have their full attention on what you're talking about. And they may simply be distracted. But at least your goal would be, I want to at least get it out there. And then I can circle back and I've said it. So now I have to do it. Right? Does that make sense? So prepare with purpose, because that confidence, and it calms those nerves. In the Esther Project, which is the main program, the 12-week program that we have at Grace and Salt Leadership Academy, we work with women to define their leadership vision and purpose so that they can walk into every situation prepared and powerful. So that's super important. The number two, the second piece of the formula, is master your body language. The way you carry yourself communicates more than your words. In fact, Stephen Covey, in his book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, he states that body language is actually 60% of the communication effort, right? So it's 10% words, 30% hearing, and then 60% body language. So I want you to stand tall. I want you to make eye contact. Keep your body open and engaged. And when you're shaking hands, do not do this. Do not do the fish thing. I want you to have a firm handshake. Now, don't break their hand. Don't prove that you've been lifting weights, but have a nice firm handshake and look them in the eye. Super important. And this is leadership 101. This is like something we should have learned years ago. There's so many people that I shake their hand, especially women, or I shake their hands and it's weak. It's like a dish rag, right? I want it to be firm. I want it to be confident. Your body language, it either invites people or it shuts them out. Confidence starts with how you physically present yourself. Now, Amy Cuddy, she, and we'll talk about her, but she has a TED Talk out that I do want you to watch, but it has to do with your brain and how you show up in power poses and all of that, and how that it causes the neural pathways to be deepened in your brain so that you do show up and so that you do fake it until you become it. Right? You continually practice this muscle. So that Esther Project encourages women to practice their body language, right? That aligns with their leadership identity. So we're all about leading authentically. I don't want you to have to lead like a man if that's not natural to you. If that's natural, super. But if it's not, you shouldn't have to lead in that way, the way that ladies had to lead that way years ago in order to advance. So, okay. So the first piece of the formula is prepare. The second piece is your body language. And the third is owning your voice. Okay, so your voice is one of the most powerful tools that you have. Speak with clarity, without hesitation, no ums or I thinks or, or right. Even if you're nervous. Now, if you have an here or there, you'll hear me talk, you'll hear me say, makes sense? You'll hear me say, right? Those are filler words. If it happens, it happens. Don't worry about it. Don't stress over it. It's fine. They know you're nervous too, and they don't want you to be. So they're going to put you at ease. Truly, they will. So every time you speak with authority, you grow your confidence. And in our work, again, I talk about Grace and Salt Leadership Academy all the time, mainly because I think that it is essential and it is helping so many women who struggle with this. And I'm able to get you to where you want to be faster than you can do on your own. And the main reason why I'm doing that is because I didn't waste, but it took me a long time to finally speak up and share my career goals with my boss. And once I did that, man, it it just zoomed. And so I regret not speaking up earlier because I could have had a larger impact on the organization than I did. I had a great impact on the organization and on hundreds of people. That's true. But I could have had so much more of an impact if I would have spoken up earlier and then got that experience and grew quicker than what I did, because I thought that somebody was honestly going to see how an amazing of an employee I was, and they were going to tap me on the shoulder and give me a promotion without me even asking for it. Doesn't happen. So don't do what I did. Okay. So I want you to look just for a second here. We're going to pause and we're going to talk about some confidence killers. All right. These are killers that many women face, especially on the road to leadership. So this is a great segue. So the first one is overthinking, right? Just stop overthinking. It's one of the biggest confidence killers. If you're constantly second guessing yourself, it's hard to own the room. Right? When you walk in there and your mind is going, it's really hard to own the room. Now, so we want to build trust, and you trust in yourself, trust in your instincts. So women were born, I don't know if men are too, because I'm not a man, but women are born with instincts, and we need to follow those instincts and that intuition. And many times we don't, because we're scared, or society has, through experiences, has kind of beaten us down. We need to overcome that. And when you have, again, that feeling in your gut, then I want you to act on it, right? So I just said, right? Filler word, empowering. So these, what we're trying to do is have you build on that trusting yourself in your own instincts and those decisions. So we're empowering, right? You're empowering yourself to act with that clarity and confidence. Is that an interesting term? Empowering yourself. Well, anyway, other than overanalyzing, just do not overanalyze. There's Mel Robbins, who I follow as well. So she has a book called 5-Second Rule. Now, everybody knows the 5-second rule, right? If you drop food on the floor, right? You drop food on the floor, you got 5 seconds to pick it up, you might as well eat it, right? Well, this is a 5-second rule where you need to act on whatever it is within 5 seconds, or you're going to talk yourself out of it. Okay. So that's kind of like this over analyzing, and that can be a confidence killer. Comparison. Oh my goodness. Comparison. Oh, can we say social media? Comparison is a silent killer of confidence. Absolutely. Stop comparing your journey to someone else's. I need you to focus on your unique strengths. I want you to write them out. Just write out your unique strengths. Ask somebody else, because odds are you are not going to give yourself the benefit. You're not going to include everything, because you're gonna second guess yourself. You don't want to brag, all those things. You need to ask somebody. And if they're not comfortable telling you, because that is kind of an awkward question, then you know what? Do an anonymous survey. Like, what do you think of me? Just tell me. Like, if somebody had to ask you 5 adjectives to describe Melissa, what would they be? Right? I mean, would you trust me with your life? I mean, where are we at on a trust scale from 1 to 10? That would be interesting. That would be really interesting. Okay, the third confidence killer is apologizing for your ideas. I'm just asking this question. I want you to be aware. This is all about self-awareness right now, right? This section of the podcast that we're in is all about self-awareness. So I want to ask you, do you find yourself apologizing for speaking up or sharing your idea? Are you adding, I'm sorry, or this might be a stupid question, but do you add that as a preface to your comments? Because that is the biggest area to focus on. If that's truly you, I want you to stop it. I want you to focus on that. And I want you literally to eliminate that from your vocabulary. So the next time you hear yourself do it, I literally want you to stop. Like if you say, yeah, I've got something to share, and I'm sorry. What are you sorry for? I'm so happy that you're speaking up, right? So and then if you say, I'm sorry, I want you to stop. When you hear yourself say, I'm sorry, I want you to stop and go, I'm not sure what I'm apologizing for. Here's my thought. I don't mean to apologize. Here's my thought. I want you literally to stop yourself and to call it out. because then the next time, and even get an accountability buddy who's in the basically the same conversations you're in. And when they hear you apologize, I want them to give you a high sign. I want them to, you guys have a secret word or a secret movement or something, right? They put their hair behind their ear or scratch their head or whatever it might be, so that you can recognize and be aware, because many of these types of fillers or qualifiers we don't even realize we're saying. It's become so much of our speech pattern that we're not aware of it. So we have to become, the first step to eliminating it is actually being aware of it. Okay. So here's the thing. Here's the real talk, if you will. Confidence doesn't happen overnight, right? You're just not going to go, okay, I am confident. No, it's a muscle. You have to practice it. It's a muscle that needs to be strengthened. So every time you put yourself out there, you're building the confidence muscle. Whether if it's in a meeting or you're giving a presentation or an everyday conversation, practice makes progress, right? So if you want to accelerate your growth and get that support that you want, I'm definitely offering the Esther Project. You need to reach out to me. It is not for everyone. Let me just tell you that. It is not for everyone. Not everyone is included or invited to join, because it is a specific woman that I need to be sure is committed, and I need to be sure is driven, and I need to be sure is going to actually show up. Okay. So anyway, all right. So to recap, the executive confidence formula is all about preparing with purpose, mastering your body language, and owning your voice. If you consistently practice these three things, you'll start seeing a massive shift in your confidence and your ability to lead with authenticity. So if you're ready to take this to the next level, I'm inviting you to the Grace and Salt Leadership Academy, to the Esther Project. So that's for the woman that is entry level to mid-management. Maybe she's got one or two people on her team. Or maybe you're listening to this as an executive or mid-manager, and you know you've got somebody on your team that could benefit from it. Please send them our way. We will do that. So anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. If this episode resonated with you at all, I want you to share it with a friend or a colleague who needs to hear it. The more we can share, the more this becomes part of other people's news feeds, and the algorithm likes it. So please share, please download, please comment, and remember that this room is yours to own. So keep practicing, keep leading, and I will see you next time.
Thanks for hanging out on the top floor. If today's episode gave you something to think about or a little boost, share it with your friend and keep the momentum going. And hey, if you're ready to find your voice and lead with clarity and confidence, check out the Esther Project. It's our foundational program at Grace and Salt, and it's built for women like you who are ready to rise. You can learn more at graceandsaltleadership.com. I'll drop the link in the show notes, and remember, you don't have to lead like everyone else, just lead like you. All right, I'll see you next time.